I can be myself. I'm liberated. The downside to it is the perception that if you, as a guy, look at me and say, yeah, you a freak, so am I, that they're the chosen one.
I got a freaky secret, everybody's saying, 'cause we don't give a damn.
Two young ladies allowed their egos to get in the way and were kind of going through it about a guy.
Adina Howard, one of the talented singers, rose to fame in the 1990s with her unique sound, look, and attitude that really resonated in her neighborhood. Adina wasn't just all talk. She truly walked the walk. However, because she was willing to push boundaries, she faced some tough consequences throughout her music career.
There probably was an exchange of words for Adina not to focus on Wanye because we're focusing on this second record and to focus mainly on that and not him.
Adina Howard Walker grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan as the oldest of 4 sisters. Her dad worked as a furniture assembler, while her mom was a stay-at-home mom who took care of Adina and her siblings. Adina's dream of making music was overshadowed by the tough times when her parents' marriage fell apart. During that period, Adina's mom moved the family to Phoenix, Arizona. It was a big change, 1,900 miles away from Michigan with a whole new vibe. As Adina grew up and matured, things began to change for her. One of the big changes for Adina was discovering her natural talent for singing. Her turning point came when she met singer and producer Livio Harris, who was performing with a group called For Sure. Livio teamed up with another producer named Ro Roma to craft Adina's look, style, and sound. Their efforts paid off when they landed a deal with Atlantic East West Records. In 1995, they released their debut single, Freak Like Me. Freak Like Me shot to number 2 on the Top 100 and the R&B charts, launching Adina Howard towards platinum success. This song marked the arrival of a bold new female singer who was set to change the landscape of R&B. Following the hit single, Adina released her debut album, Do You Wanna Ride? The cover caught everyone's attention, especially the men, and Adina kept it hot on every track. The album was packed with appeal, just the way Adina wanted it. She then dropped another hot single, My Up and Down, featuring supermodel Tyson Beckford. Baby My Up and Down became a top 40 hit, landing at number 32 on the charts, and helped the Do You Wanna Ride album go gold. Adina Howard was now making her mark on the charts and in the music industry. However, her meteoric rise eventually came crashing down, largely due to a love triangle involving some very popular musicians of the time. While she set a blueprint that new singers still follow today, Adina Howard's tumultuous romantic life ultimately derailed her career, and she hasn't been as prominent since. The drama began when Adina Howard, a rising star in the 90s music scene, got involved with Wanye Morris from Boyz II Men, a hugely popular group at the time. The catch: Morris was already in a relationship with Brandy, who was not only a bigger star than Howard, but also had a pristine public image that contrasted sharply with Howard's bold and unapologetic style. Howard herself discusses the situation in the episode of the docuseries Unsung.
Two young ladies allowed their egos to get in the way and were kind of going through it about a guy.
Well, clearly somebody was getting played with in this situation. That's not to say that Wanye, with his smooth vocals, wasn't playing both girls like a pro. What made the situation even more complicated was that Brandy and Adina were both signed to different labels under the same umbrella. Brandy was at Atlantic, while Adina was with East West, a sister imprint. Rumors about Wanye and Brandy's relationship had supposedly made headlines around the time their duet Broken Hearted was released in 1994. Although they didn't confirm it until years later, people started connecting the dots, probably because they couldn't say anything outright. The issue was complicated by the fact that Wanye was in his early 20s while Brandy was still a minor. According to Wanye, he was the one who introduced Brandy to the show's creator Veda Spears, which led to Brandy getting her own TV show and even co-writing the theme song. Brandy later revealed that after inviting her on tour with his group, one thing led to another. Feelings got involved, and she fell head over heels, making Wanye her first real love. Brandy wasn't sure about telling Wanye how she felt at first, but she eventually opened up and was surprised to find out he felt the same way. Their relationship began when she was just 15 and he was around 22, lasting for 2 years until Wanye started losing interest in her, which left Brandy heartbroken. Apparently, he was looking for someone more adventurous. Adina met Wanye in the late 90s and they hit it off, but the complication was that Wanye was still with Brandy at the time, causing a lot of tension in Wanye and Brandy's relationship that he hadn't ended the relationship yet. This caused a mess and of course a major conflicts within the record label, especially with executive Sylvia Rhone, who was not pleased with the situation. As a result, Adina's album was put on hold indefinitely in 1996. When rumors began circulating about Adina Howard and Wanya Morris's affair, word quickly reached Sylvia Rhone, a powerful music executive who also happened to oversee Howard's career. This love triangle added layers of complexity, and Howard's choices unknowingly set the stage for a series of events that would threaten her career. Sylvia Rhone, renowned for her influence in the music industry, counseled Howard to end the relationship and refocus on her career. However, Howard disregarded this advice, and the scandal soon became the talk of the town, drawing the attention of Wendy Williams, a prominent radio DJ known for her knack for controversy on Hot 97 in New York. Williams' involvement would later prove pivotal in Howard's journey. Reflecting on the fallout in the episode of Unsung, producer Billy Moss offered insights into the aftermath. He said, "Howard had some choice words in there for Sylvia and for Brandy. That pissed Sylvia off. She was on fire."
Wanya met Adina, and it's on and popping. When you meet Adina, it's on and popping.
When Rhone caught wind of Howard's comments about her, she reportedly made the decision to bring Howard's career to a halt, delaying the release of her second album indefinitely. It sounds like Howard learned a tough lesson about the repercussions of criticizing someone who supports you, Adina said. "I said something very inappropriate about the head of the label and she pulled up the emergency brake and shut everything down. And rightfully so, because when you got the power to do that and you don't like what people are saying about you, yeah."
There probably was an exchange of words for Adina not to focus on Wanya because we're focusing on this second record and to focus mainly on that and not him.
However, Rhone completely cut off financial support, refusing to pay for any part of the production. Adina had to cover costs for songwriters, photo shoots, and photographers all by herself. Eager to build on the success of her 1995 hit and advance her music career, Adina took matters into her own hands. She decided to leave her original label and signed with several others. Unfortunately, these new labels didn't do what was necessary to push her career forward. After a while, Adina felt like she was doing all the work, putting in 1,000%, while the labels were only contributing 10%. Frustrated, she eventually left not just the labels but the entire music scene. However, her break from music didn't last long. Despite this setback, Adina caught a break when DJ Warren G reached out to her to do a remake of Tina Turner's hit, What's Love Got to Do With It? What's Love Got to Do With It climbed into Billboard's top 40. Offering a glimpse into the music business that mirrored what Adina Howard was experiencing. By the mid-90s, this new hot single reignited Adina Howard's career, putting her back on the rise. However, she still faced ongoing issues with her boss. Adina did have one solid supporter in her corner, Sherman Jordan. Despite the tension within the label, Adina Howard kept pushing forward and worked on her second album, Welcome to Fantasy Island. She collaborated with some of the hottest artists of the time, including Timbaland, Jamie Foxx, and DJ Quick. The album was set to be released in June 1997, with the first single titled Freakin' You Know It. She also dabbled in the film industry, landing a role in the movie High Frequency. Despite the tension at her label, her second album, Welcome to Fantasyland, was finally released in 1997. It saw moderate success, but was shelved by Elektra Records the same year. Adina met with Sylvia Rhone to discuss her future in the industry, but she wasn't receptive to what Sylvia had to say. Sylvia, being the one with power, ultimately dropped Adina from the label. Because Adina had been out of the spotlight for a while, her single Freakin' You Know It failed to crack the top 40 and slid down the charts. As a result, her time with the record label was coming to an end. Due to the disappointing performance of the single, her album Welcome to Fantasy Island was shelved, and Adina was dropped from the label by the late 1990s. She became a one-album wonder, with her second record indefinitely on hold and her career in a downward spiral. Because Fantasy Island never saw the light of day, one of Jamie Foxx's songs from the album, T-Shirt and Panties, was leaked. The song took on a life of its own. Even though it was never released as a single, it found its way onto the movie soundtrack Woo, featuring Jada Pinkett Smith, and got airplay on several popular radio stations. As things quieted down for Adina Howard in the following years, she hit the road again. Then, in 2004, she made a comeback with another album titled The Second Coming. One of the singles from that album was Due to a lack of promotion, it only peaked at number 61 on the Billboard charts. Although the song was fantastic, but unfortunately the album didn't make much impact on the charts. Adina Howard found herself struggling to reclaim her place in R&B, noticing other female singers cashing in on her bold style. Despite these challenges, Adina Howard pressed on and released another album titled Private Show. It faced tough competition from Beyoncé, Robin Thicke, and Keisha Cole, managing to reach number 17 on the iTunes R&B chart. start. However, it failed to make the Billboard charts, with Billboard reporting that a year after its release, it had only sold 4,000 copies. However, it didn't even chart, leaving her in a difficult position. Over the years, she released several more albums that achieved some success, but never quite reached the level of her first work. It seemed her initial success had set a high bar. Adina faced challenges in the industry where she felt she was being unfairly sidelined. Naturally, this was disappointing, but she didn't let it derail her life. Transitioning back into the regular workforce wasn't straightforward for someone of Adina's stature. She prayed for a work environment where she wouldn't constantly face scrutiny and questions about why her music career had slowed down. After not having any music hits for almost 10 years, Adina Howard decided to make a change. She discovered a new passion in the kitchen and pursued it by enrolling in culinary school, where she earned an associate degree in culinary arts. Cooking became a heartfelt pursuit for her. During this time, Adina reconnected with Sherman Jordan, a longtime friend and steadfast supporter who had been there for her during tough times. They kept bumping into each other at the airport, and one day he gave her his number, telling her to call if she ever felt like talking. Within a year, they started dating, but Sherman was really keen on settling down, getting hitched, and having kids. Adina, though, had never really seen herself getting married or having children. Their relationship went through ups and downs over the next 10 years, but they stayed best buds throughout. Then in 2011, Adina surprised everyone by agreeing to marry Sherman. They had a lovely wedding. And suddenly, she became a stepmom to his daughter from a previous relationship. She also continued to refine her cooking skills, both at home and professionally. Even though she swore she'd never go back to Arizona, that's exactly where they chose to start their married life together in 2012. Despite her focus on culinary arts, Adina still felt a longing for music. Despite everything, the stage still beckoned her. Following a performance in 2013, Adina told Vibe magazine that her husband encouraged her to return to music. She signed with Monarchy Records, with Sherman acting as her project coordinator. And in 2013, she released the song Switch. It was intended to be the lead single from her 5th studio album, To Switch Up. However, details about the album's release date remain unclear, even from an official website bio. Perhaps there were delays because Adina had other priorities. Although she had previously stated she never wanted children, she mentioned to Obon Bridges in 2014 that she and Sherman were actively trying to have a baby. In 2017, she finally released the album Resurrection, featuring the socially conscious lead single Blasphemy, described as an urban battle cry. She returned to the studio and created a new single titled Blasphemy. By 2012, following her marriage and career shift to become a chef, Adina continues to stay active, performing shows and revitalizing her old song. Things were falling into place for her at last. Music became more of a passion project than her main source of income, giving her a fresh perspective. She even treated fans to a documentary that delved deeper into her career. But just as things seemed to be settling, her personal life took an unexpected turn. Before she could start a family, she and Sherman divorced in 2017. Despite the split, they remained on good terms. Sherman even showed up as a friend in Adina's Unsung episode. They kept living together, and Sherman affectionately referred to Adina as his wingman. Despite her marriage ending, Sherman Jordan remains her closest friend. Many fans remained uncertain why their marriage ended even though they've known each other for a long time. Well, it turns out that Adina wanted more physical intimacy with her partner, which is why they ended up divorcing. In an interview, the musician talked about how her divorce stemmed from her strong desire for She described herself as someone who embraces her S fully and entered marriage expecting to have frequent physical intimacy every day. However, the reality of her marital life was different. She didn't receive the level of intimacy and S fulfillment she hoped for, leading to significant tension in their relationship. Her husband, as she mentioned in the interview, struggled with her high energy and libido. He initially thought he had a strong S drive until he met her and realized her desires surpassed his own. The American singer openly admitted that she felt the need for S every day, morning, afternoon, and night. However, now Adina engages in speaking events discussing the link between S and spirituality. Despite her achievements, Adina shared on the Titi Torres show that she wasn't making money from her earlier music. To make matters she hadn't seen a dime in royalties from her previous albums due to those sketchy record contracts she'd signed. Reflecting on her career, she admitted to Ebony that she wished she'd stayed more grounded. She also opened up about dealing with folks who didn't really have her back, describing the industry as being full of wolves and snakes. Recently, in early 2019, Adina Howard had some exciting moments. Her episode on TV1's Unsung series premiered on March 10, 2019, which got a lot of attention. Later that month, she starred in Joel Potracouse's film film Relaxer, released to critical acclaim with a solid 72% on Rotten Tomatoes. Moving into May, Adina announced a new single titled Freak with Mother's Favorite Child, building on their acoustic performances featured in her TV One episode. She also appeared in the documentary A Fatherless America by Tommy Sotomayor, released in June 2019. In July, she prepared for a performance in Detroit alongside Montel Jordan, teasing her upcoming single Lifeline, and hinting at ventures in books and motivational speaking as she shared in her Consciousness magazine cover story. As we moved into 2020, Adina released her dance single Mind Reader with Opolopo on January 17th, which quickly topped charts on Traxsource and the Dutch Freak 31 music chart. She also celebrated the 25th anniversary of her debut album with an interview in R&B Junkie, where she revealed plans for a residency in Houston starting in May. Adding to her busy schedule, Adina joined Katrina Walker's stage play Miss D's Kitchen, originally set for an April 3rd premiere but delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In December, she received another UB Honors nomination for Best Dance Club Single of the Year for Mind Reader. The following January brought exciting news that her long-awaited album Welcome to Fantasy Island would finally release in the US on February 19th through Rhino Records. In April 2022, she dropped her new single Keep Lookin' on streaming platforms, followed by a Trina remix in July of the same year. Looking ahead, Adina started filming for the drama False Prophets with director James Hampton in November. By July 2023, she expanded her ventures by launching her own wine Indelible in partnership with Ramona Ranch Winery, alongside announcing her upcoming single Liquor. Look out for her because she continues to perform a few gigs each year, and it's clear that Adina is still marching to the beat of her own drum. That's it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching.